Hey everybody, it's your Aunt Jessica, and I'm sorry to say that I am in a little bit of a bad mood. I just got off work, so forgive the hair, the makeup, it looks like shit, I know, but really bothered by the new ruling that just came out today. I wanted to talk about this and a few other topics on this issue of women's sports. So now we have USA Boxing has come out with their transgender policy, and I'm going to put it on the screen here, and we can read through it, and I'll explain what I know about it together. So let's read through this policy and see what it says. Basically, they're saying minor boxers under the age of 18 must compete as their birth gender, weight class outlined in the USA Boxing rulebook. USA Boxing will only communicate with minors with a parent or legal guardian. For boxers over the age of 18, they're saying they're going to go by these guidelines. So a male on average would have 10 nanomoles per liter of testosterone in their system, and a female would have less than 3.1 nanomoles per liter. I go off of deciliters per liter with my testing, and I stay around the 12 range. My testosterone level is 12, which that's different than a nanomole. A deciliter is smaller, so I'm allowed to have more deciliters than a nanoliter, I believe, is how that works. So it's all scientific numbers, and it really, in my opinion, it's all horseshit, you guys. Like, so tired of this being the deciding factor. We all know the deciding factor needs to be, how do women feel about this, and what do women want? That's what's important. What do the women want? Like, it is not up to men to decide what women get to do. And I know there's the argument of the patriarchy and feminism. I get those arguments, and I don't believe that women were treated fairly. I know that there is still some cultural differences in men and women. So for the love of God, we need to stop this sports invasion now. This is getting ridiculous. So when a man like me wants to compete in the women's division, these are the 4 bullet points they're going to have to address. Okay, so the first one is the athlete has declared that her gender identity is female and has completed gender reassignment surgery. 1. The athlete, for a minimum of 4 years after surgery, has had quarterly hormone testing and presents USA Boxing with the documented hormone levels. The athlete must demonstrate that they already included as a female, that her total testosterone level in serum has below 5 nmLO, that's the nanoliters, for at least 48 months of 4 years prior to them competing. What this does, you guys, is, believe it or not, this actually kind of does protect women's sports. I know this is bad, and Riley went online and she talked about this too, and this is why I'm so fired up about it, is that what's it going to take? Like, is it going to take a woman being unalived to stop this nonsense? Like, that's how I feel. Like, that's where we're headed if we don't stop this crap. Now, let me play devil's advocate. With these 4 rules that they just outlined, not that many male transgender athletes who are 18 or up are going to get that surgery and then wait 4 years just to compete in a boxing ring with a woman. And so after sexual reassignment surgery, like, that's a big deal. The gonads are gone. So this is what tells me they did not do their research on this, which kind of is a good thing, kind of is a bad thing. Basically, once I go under gender reassignment surgery, my gonads are gone. I will no longer have a body producing testosterone anymore, period. It's gone. So the requirement to be tested for 4 years after gender reassignment surgery, if that gender reassignment surgery was gonad removal, which is called an orchiectomy, if you really want to know, or they get a neovagina or a vaginoplasty, like, that's it. There's no more testosterone being produced by that body. So they don't need to test for 4 years, and they don't have to show the athlete below 5 nanoliters. They're going to be below 5 nanoliters. They're not going to have any testosterone in their system, which is a lot of transsexuals that transition, like, we'll get that surgery and we don't have to take testosterone blockers for the rest of our life. It's kind of cool. These rules, and then the following 2 rules are just more about the testing over 4 years. So it's not like that's going to affect anything. So to be honest with you guys, like, I hate USA Boxing for even having a transgender policy, but they kind of gatekeeped it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not joking, you guys. Them saying that you have to have gender reassignment surgery and have that 4 years prior to competing, that's pretty hardcore. Like, that is kind of protecting women there, because there's not going to be a lot of boxing candidates for that. But again, I do not want a woman to get killed in the ring If a woman were to get seriously injured in a boxing match because of this, I would love to be the lawyer that sues this out of these people. So again, in a way, it does protect women, and it's a shitty way to say it. I know it's terrible, but it's kind of gonna protect them because, like I said, not that many men are gonna want to go through that surgery and then wait 4 years just to compete in boxing. So that trans athlete would actually be legitimately trans and still, in my opinion, does not deserve the right to compete in the women's division ever. Okay, so here's a reminder of what happens if we do let this nonsense happen. As most of us know, there's a person named Fallon Fox who I will say on air, on record, this person is a POS in my book. They deserve no respect whatsoever. I do not for 1 second believe that Fallon Fox is an actual transsexual person. No hormone replacement has been taken, as far as I can see. Allegedly, there's never been any gender reassignment surgery. They have been off the grid, thank God, since I think 2013, 2015 when this happened. But let's watch again and see.
Fox going to knees, and that's it. Fallon Fox. Holy cow. Game over. Wow. And a quick finish to our first women's $20,000 championship tournament fight.
How you feeling right now? I'm feeling excellent. That was sweet, huh? Did you like that? Yeah. And I want to tell everyone else, I'm coming in this tournament. Every woman in this tournament better look out. I'm freaking coming.
Okay, so you heard his voice. You see the way he acted. I'm going to tell you, he also tweeted out after the fight about what he did to the lady's skull or whatnot. And he bragged about it. He's like, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun and I would do it again. For all you haters, this is what's coming, you guys, if we don't stop this shit now. Okay, so here's another example of another MMA fighter who transitioned later in life, supposedly. This person was a monster. I saw their pictures. They are a former combat veteran, and this dude was big and still is big. I don't know how they got down to the weight to fight in the women's division, but this is what Alana McLaughlin looks like. She fought a Russian woman who signed on the dotted line. I will say that. It wasn't a lie like the Fallon Fox issue. She didn't tell any of her opponents she was a biological male until the very last fight she had. Then she let it be known. So this person, Alana, openly trans and telling people that she's been on hormone replacement therapy and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, either way, she shouldn't have been in this division. She was outclassed. If you guys want to Google the fight, Alana McLaughlin, she only got one. And the girl, the Russian female fighter that she fought, I give that lady all the props in the world. That lady had 18 times more talent than Alana did. Alana is a no-talent bum who deserves everything that she gets in life. I hate being cynical like that. You guys know I'm actually a pretty sweet person, but like this stuff drives me nuts, and I think I get a hall pass when it comes to protecting women about being a bitch. So this person was completely outclassed for like 2 rounds of this fight. And the saddest part of this fight is you can watch the actual female fighter is literally outboxing Alana, destroying, taking her apart, tearing her apart, or picking her apart, as what they say in the boxing community. Literally jab, jab, straights, rights, leg kicks, was outclassing Alana 100%. The only reason Alana won this fight was because of the sheer power. Like you could watch the female hit him. He walked right through every punch she landed. She landed like every punch directly on Alana's face, and look at it. Like Alana's face doesn't look that bad. And I'm telling you guys, I watched this fight several times. The girl was landing punch after punch after punch. It didn't even rock Alana back. Like Alana just stood there and walked through all the punches. Now these, again, were 2 fighters that agreed to fight each other. The female knew this was a transgender person and wanted to do it anyway. So mad props to that lady, but it just goes to show you that it's not fair. Like the bone density is not even close. The muscle structure is not close. Like, so going back to that boxing thing, I'm sorry to jump around you guys, but going back to the boxing rules of no minors will be allowed to compete in a different sex category than their biological sex. Like, okay, I get that, but what you're doing is allowing the man to go through puberty and then transition. So they're gaining 18 years of testosterone built muscles, 18 years of testosterone built structure, muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments. It's all there fueled by testosterone. You guys, testosterone is so powerful. Look at what it does to some of these females that are taking these drugs. Like, look, that's a woman, you guys. That was a woman who's been on testosterone now. Picture was 2018. So that was 5 years on testosterone. That's what a woman looks like. That's how powerful testosterone is. Think about that's doing it in a male body for 18 years. And then you're just going to cut it off and say, yeah, they're the same. They're the same as a woman. It's no different. It's going to be the same. It's crazy that we're allowing this to happen. So anyway, back to Alana. She hasn't fought since, everybody. I think we got on that person enough to say something in their head clicked. All right, I probably shouldn't be doing this. And I think they haven't fought since, which is great. That's good news. And like I said, I've done a few videos on Instagram about how they keep citing these studies, like from the things I quoted from that boxing article, that the Boston Medical Science Journal and this and that. Well, they're testing on dumb stuff. Like the military did that Air Force test. You guys might have seen the video I did. You know, the Air Force test was a running mile. How many sit-ups can they do in a minute? And then grip strength, like how long can you hang on a bar? So to my point, like, do you think if I'm running a mile 12 seconds slower, that's going to change how hard I punch someone? Like, no. Like, yeah, I'm on hormones for 8 years. Like, I'm weak, but I can still hit pretty hard. Like, if I punched a girl, she would feel it. For the record, I would never punch a girl. Y'all know that. And then two, the other one was sit-ups in a minute. I think some of the athletes were, after a year of testosterone suppression, they were doing, was it 12 less sit-ups? 5 less sit-ups in a minute? Like, that doesn't slow me down on my mountain bike. Are you guys kidding me? Like, I'm still fast as shit running downhill on a mountain bike. I could get on my motocross bike right now and go tear it up on the track. Like, or just because I did 12 less sit-ups, that's not changing anything in my sports performance in a given sport. So yeah, and the grip strength thing, come on, really? Like, oh, they can only hold on to the bar for 8 seconds this time instead of 10 seconds last time. It's BS. Everybody knows it. It's the woke liberal agenda from our current government, our current administration. I know that Riley's been posting about this guy. Governor Mike DeWine has vetoed the bill HB 68, which is a bill that would protect women's sports and prevent child transitioning in Ohio. So he was proud. They put a clip on Twitter about him going through and saying, I vetoed this in like 3 seconds. And hopefully, and thankfully, the Ohio State Senate or their legislature has enough votes to override his veto. So that is actually a good thing, you guys. That's a huge win for Ohio, even though their governor is, I believe he's a Republican who's supposed to be on kind of our side, right? Like he's supposed to be protecting women and against the woke agenda. And now I have people coming after me on Twitter because I posted about this boxing thing, saying that there should be a total ban on trans athletes competing in women's sports. And you guys, I am 100% behind that. Like I stand by that to this day. And here's why. You got to hear me out. I did videos almost, I want to say 3-4 years ago about this exact topic. How had we taken the time and let the general public or society get used to the fact that there will be some boys coming up in the younger grades playing sports who are on testosterone replacement therapy and have been kept at a woman's level and probably wouldn't have been such a problem for the women's division as a whole. Like if you let these kids transition below 18, which I'm not for, again, don't misquote me on that. I'm not okay with transitioning kids below 18 medically or surgically. Socially, yes, they can transition socially below the age of 18. It's 100%. Let them see what it's like. They need to feel that. They need to experience that life to make sure this is a decision that they think they want to do for the rest of their lives. And that's important too. So, sorry, back to what I was getting at. So had that 15-year-old been on HRT, gone through high school, gone through college, kept their nanoliters below 10, we'll say below 5, they would have a body very assimilate to a female. Like they still have a little bit of bone density, and because there is still some testosterone growth prepubescent. Like, okay, so there's a big argument that prepubescent kids also have an advantage, boys over women. And I believe that too. Like you can look at, I've used this before in personal conversations in my life that, okay, so when I was raising my daughter, she was a little soccer player, and the little Ladybugs, that was her team. So cute. The Ladybugs, you could watch the Ladybugs play soccer. And you're like, oh, cute. They, kick the ball around and they all chase it. And, there's not really, they don't keep score. It's fine, but you can watch the boys, 7 to 8 year olds. They had a little bit of competitiveness going on. Like the boys were kicking the ball pretty hard. Athletically, they were more than the little girls, the ladybugs, and the biggest problem I have is the fact that I don't want to sound misogynistic. And it's pretty goddamn hard to do that when I have to explain these facts like to the T and let people know, okay, this is what a boy does. This is what a girl does in this sports. And you guys, I hate it because I am not misogynistic. And it feels like the only way I can get through to these morons who think this shit's okay is to be somewhat misogynistic. I got to explain to them, like, look, this isn't fair because XXX. No pun on the XXY, right? It's not fair, and I hate explaining the finite detail. This is such a misogynistic statement, but I've had this conversation in person with real life people, and it goes like this. So if you think I'm crazy, go watch the men's X Games BMX final. Go watch the women's X Games BMX final. And if you don't see that, try the skateboards. Go watch the women's X Games skateboard finals. Then watch the men's X Games skateboard finals. And you tell me there's no difference, okay? Again, I hate sounding misogynistic, but I feel like it's the only thing left we have, that they won't believe the numbers. They won't listen to reality. They won't listen to actual science. They want to believe their liberal college studies that are funded by the government to be more inclusive. They won't listen to reality. And that's the most frustrating part for me is, so yeah, 51% of the world's population probably doesn't want to be playing with the boys all the time. There's co-ed leagues for that, and we can support co-ed leagues. Another conversation that came up tonight on Twitter was, why don't we invoke the third category, whether they want to call it open or the trans category, whatever. I don't know what they're going to call it, but there's 2 organizations that have actually opened a third category. One, World Aquatics. We know they banned swimming. They banned trans from swimming. It's great. And also rowing banned trans from competing in opposite sex categories. And UCI Cycling made an open category. And guess what, you guys? Guess what? No trans athletes signed up for it. Crazy, right? Like, who'd have thought? They only want to compete when they know they can win. I wonder, are they really trans? Probably not. Besides, most of those organizations were not doing what the USA Boxing is doing and requiring testing. So there's that. And you can't argue with me that these are real trans people and their lives are being affected when they're not even transitioning. They're not doing any surgeries. They're not taking any hormones. They're just self-IDing. And that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem for me. That's a huge problem for everyone. You can't include self-ID into this crap. It's nonsense. So self-ID is BS. We know. Okay, everybody. So that's me. I'm sorry. I had to rant. I had to vent. This is driving me crazy. I'm going to put some links to USA Boxing in the comments down below in the link section. If you can, write a letter. I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to call them and let them know that we do not want to include transgender athletes in anything except for their own division. It's gotten too far, and that's the way it needs to be now. So if you guys can do that, I appreciate it. And I appreciate all you guys' support. I love you guys so much. Thanks.